This is Mongolian Mindset, and today we're going to be responding to one of our subscribers, A1N8F. Is Kevin Hart a ESTP or ESFP? Okay, so we're going to break that down today, and let's start with our sworn enemy. Our sworn enemy personality database has them as a ESFP, and that's with 377 votes. We're going to start off by saying we use Linda Barrens metrics to find personality type, and it's the best metrics in the game. For a limited time, we are doing free typing sessions. All you have to do is join our group, Mongolian Mindset, and message our moderator, Thomas Began, and send him your availability, and we'll get that done. We're probably only going to be doing this for a couple more weeks, so get it while you can. We just picked up this new book from, not new, this is an older book, 20 years ago, from Dario Nardi. We'll be breaking that down in the future in videos. I recently talked to Dario Nardi yesterday, and he told me he's going to be coming out with a new book that talks about the different subtypes of each type. If you don't know, it's more than just one type of intj or entj or enfp. There's subtypes, and he's going to be breaking that down in his new book and talking about essentially how they change throughout time or as you age or whatnot. So that's going to be phenomenal. Dario Nardi is the best in the game. That's not even close. His last book, Magic Diamond, we will be breaking down in the future in videos. It's amazing. He does brain scans and whatnot. If you don't know about Dario Nardi, you definitely need to go look up his work and buy his material. And we'll be talking about the 8 function model too. They got personality database has him as an ESFP. So that's SE in the first spot, FI in the second spot, TE in the third spot, NI in the fourth spot, and in the fifth spot, it's called the Opposing Personality from John Beebe. ESFPs would have SI, and in the sixth spot, which is the Critic, that would be FE. In the seventh spot, which is the Trickster or the Blind Spot, that would be TI. And in the eighth spot, the Demonic Angel, they would be NE. Okay, so let's get into this. Let's see what Kevin Hart is. Is he ESFP? Is he ESTP? We will find out. And 54% of our viewers are not subscribed, so if you could please subscribe to the channel and drop a comment. We will be systematically going through and picking comments that people want typed.
It's not cocaine, it's not heroin, it's fame. Any and culture with a mission to keep for a reason. The work that you've done, the success that you've had is groundbreaking. So major congrats to you. I just want to say there's an equal level of appreciation and excitement for the moment, man. You've done some groundbreaking podcasts. Your guests, to how you've gotten people to open up, the conversations that you've had. More importantly, the lives that you're saving by just being transparent, authentic, and true to who you are. I think it's dope as hell.
True to who you are. Is he projecting with his FI there? I'll put a point down for TEFI. TEFI there. He likes that. Authentic to who you are.
That they should sometimes be returned. And in this case, man, I'm here for a reason. The work that you've done, the success that you've had is groundbreaking. So major congrats to you. I just want to say there's an equal level of appreciation and excitement for the moment, man. You've done some groundbreaking podcasts. Your guests, to how you've gotten people to open up, the conversations that you've had. More importantly, the lives that you're saving by just being transparent, authentic, and true to who you are. I think it's dope as hell. So it's an honor to sit across from you. I'm excited about the conversation, and it's one that's been on my list as well. So I'm glad that we finally.
It's on my list as well. I'm put another point for TE. It's on my list of things as well. TE.
It's where we can make this happen.
Yeah, thank you, man. That's very kind, and it's really beautiful hearing that from you, honestly. So let's dive in before we keep going back and forth with roses.
Let's go.
Let's get it.
So he's initiating there. Put a point down for initiating. Okay, looking like an initiating TEFI user. That could possibly what we're looking at. Potentially ESTJ, entj, ESFP, and enfp. Okay. We already got 2 points for TEFI and 1 point for initiating. So let's see.
one of the things I want to start off, and this is going to take us anywhere and everywhere, is how does it feel when you're winning and then you discover you got monsters? Because that's kind of the journey you've been on, and I want to go back and forth in this journey.
The journey, look at him. We already typed Jay Shetty as an ENFP. So
let's start there. Like, what does it feel like when you're winning, you're succeeding, but then you all of a sudden go, I've still got monsters in me?
You know, when you say and use the word monsters, just for clarity so people can understand, of course, we're talking about the different levels to you, right? And within the levels that I've discovered in myself, of myself, you know, you got your good versions and your bad versions. And the bad versions I refer to as monsters, but just because they're bad doesn't mean they don't have good quality. And when you're winning and you're succeeding.
Okay, so I'm going to put that for abstract there. That was abstract. Okay. They're talking about the intangibles. That would be in the realm of intangible ideas, contextual things, philosophies, that type of realm. The intangible, which means not within the five senses there. That's what he was talking about.
There's this idea that everything is right. There's this idea that perfection is now presented.
Talking about ideas that will also go in the realm of abstract.
Itself in life moving forward is going to be just an easy road. And it's not until you're in that position where you expect perfection and you think that you start to see the true problems.
Okay, so he's going through a progression here. That means he's going through a sequence of things and how things move. He's not talking about just pure outcomes. So progression people talk about how things move apart throughout. And outcome people, they generally talk about the end product. And you'll see that come up in their language a lot. He's talking about the progression here. So we're looking at initiating progression abstract type. Most likely this guy's an ENFP too.
Flaws really present themselves. And, you know, my monsters have been masked and disguised in various different ways.
So you're talking about that monsters and whatnot, that's all abstraction.
But I've been able to pinpoint them throughout the years because some of those monsters grew, got stronger, developed. You're talking about the world of an ego, the idea.
So he's talking about the progression of things as well. Again,
of who you think you are versus what you are, or the idea of expectations and needs as to what you feel you need and what you have to have. That's a monster that's feeding that, right? That engine up.
Yeah, he's getting abstract here. Okay.
Well, now that I'm making money, this is what I should have. This is how I should look. This is how I'm supposed to be. That's a monster that you're feeding because ultimately you're buying in to something that you're creating. You're enhancing this world of thought. And it's not till you sit down and you take a breather and you start to really figure out the true definition of happiness for you. You start to really understand the adult that you have grown into and the level of maturity that has now, I guess you can say, have been banked inside the human that you are. You're banking so much over the years, and ultimately you're shaping and molding yourself.
You're baking things over the year, more progression. See, it's nice progression
into this grounded individual that you're proud to look at.
And what I'm noticing, he's not direct, specific, concise, and to the point. He's coming off very informative. But we already know that because if someone's initiating in their progression, they're automatically informative. Like if they're initiating in their progression, those are starter types. That is qualifications for starters. But just for an asterisk, you know, he is informative. He's not direct, specific, concise, and to the point. He's giving people extra information. He's wordy. He's beating around the bush. It's kind of going.
In the mirror at the end of the day, I had to get to a place to where I was looking in the mirror and I was proud of what I was looking at. And I was okay with checking myself. I was okay with
he's talking about the progression again.
Out my flaws. I was okay with knowing what I do well and what I do wrong. And at the end of the day, there's no consequence to always improving. There's no consequence.
Talking about consequences, that's SINE. Okay? SINE. But it's looking like this guy's ENFP.
To growing. you're in a time now where people almost frown upon the world of growth. I embrace that. I embrace the world of correction. So the monsters and the world of how to tame them came from me understanding the different levels of monsters that have presented themselves to me over the years. And
it's like, imagine if he was direct, he would have got this out literally within maybe a minute tops, minute 20. He's been talking about this for a while now.
Them to a point to where I put them in a place where I can control them. They're still there. They can rear their heads, but I can say, sit down. That's not necessary. That's not needed. And I can tell when one is trying to take me back to a place of old. But at the age 43, it's exciting to know that I've grown from so much. And
it's exciting to see that I've grown the progression again.
The world of want is significantly different than what it once was.
It's really interesting. You use the analogy of like looking in the mirror and being okay with yourself. And when you said that, I was thinking, yeah, when you look in the mirror, there's no trophies. The reflection doesn't show the trophies, the wins, the money, the whatever else. It just shows you. And the fact that you've had the courage to look at that, where do you think, when you track back, I've always been fascinated by memories that we hold from our childhood that have left an imprint that's really strong in our lives, whether it be positive, challenging, whatever it may be. What's a difficult memory from childhood, do you think, that has been the catalyst for so many things in your life? Is there anything that you go back to that you're like, I can see how that, and I had to turn that into a positive?
I think the biggest memory for me is the one of being complacent. You know, as a child, I wasn't really a kid that embraced.
You see, he keeps talking from a first person perspective. That's all SI, okay? He's an SI user. As in SE users talk about what other people are doing, they go in their memories or whatnot. They talk about the environment, they talk about other things. But he's coming off from a very first person perspective. That's an SI. This guy's an SI NE user, and we know that.
Face the world of challenge, right? I was very complacent. I was okay with being a subpar to low average student, right? I was okay with not trying. I was okay with not giving my all. And I was kind of okay with getting over, right? So the biggest memory that I have in my childhood is like when I got to that early teen years, that 12, that 13, that 14, being sneaky and thinking that you're constantly one-upping someone was that's what I was embracing at the highest level. Do your homework. I did it. Did you really do your homework? I did it. And you taking my word for it and not checking my homework. Oh, I didn't do it, but you think I did. I got over.
Talking about what other people think, that's TFI.
Ultimately, you're slowly cheating yourself over.
Talking about the progression again. We're done with progression. All right, he's a progression type. So he can't be ESTJ or ENTJ. Can't be ENFJ and can't be ESTP. Can't be ISTJ. Can't be INTJ. Can't be ISTP. And can't be infj, okay, because he's progression. Those are all eliminated. He can only be a starter, and we already like narrowed in on that because he's initiating and he's progression. Is TFI, abstract, SINE. ESFPs are SE users and they're concrete. So they are TEFI users, but they're concrete. They talk about the what is. They wouldn't be getting abstract like this guy's talking about the monsters inside, putting the monsters over here, doing all that. That's all abstract. So it's looking like he is an ENFP.
Yes, it's not until you get a reality check as to why that work was necessary that you realize you're just not doing what you're supposed to do with your life, right? You're not giving your all.
Talking about what you're supposed to be doing, that's a affiliative statement. And the reason why that's affiliative is because he's talking about essentially doing the right thing for society or whatnot. So he's saying affiliative things. As in pragmatic, people talk about doing what's effective. Okay.
I had a lot of different examples of that. I truly had a mom that made sure that I had, and I didn't take advantage or embrace the real work that she put in until I got to an older age of true understanding. But to be honest, I really threw a lot of those things to the side. The extracurricular activities, the swim teams.
Informative, okay. So he's informative. He's progression, so it makes him a starter. He's abstract TFI, SINE. He's an ENFP.
The the football teams, the basketball teams, the track and field, the baseball, all of these things as a kid, you don't understand your parents are doing to try to provide you with a world of opportunity. They're trying to keep you occupied. They're trying to embrace this idea of hard work, effort, activity, engage. They're doing all these things, or all of these things to their kids, or hopefully, right, for their kids, to put their kids in a position to just want the best, compete, study, learn, be excited about their future. That light bulb went off late. Thankfully, when it went off at the right time, and I was able to identify a lot of stuff that I couldn't then. And also, thankfully, that a lot of the lessons that my mom constantly embedded in me about, you don't start things that you're not going to finish, you don't quit, apply your all, do this or don't.
Oh, he couldn't finish things. Oh, yeah, because you're a starter, dude. You start things and don't finish things.
Do it. You're not cheating anybody but yourself. All of these things that I heard over the course of time, there was a moment when I got older, it all hit at the same time. But the real memory for me now, looking back, is I'm glad that I do see that I am aware of that, because not being aware of that is the hugest loss. Thinking that I took full advantage, thinking that I really applied or tried myself, thinking that was 100% would be the real loss. So one of my best memories is knowing that at one point I was a slacker. I was the guy that wanted to look
Gave yourself a TE title. I was a slacker.
like he was doing, but never truly was. Unless it was something that I loved and embraced. And, that was basketball.
Something I loved and embraced, that's TEFI.
Chances of me making that were very slim. But, that's, to answer your question, it's a ballpark of those memories.
Look how long it took him to answer the question.
I now look back on that I appreciate, but that also act as the fuel for the hard work and the 100% that you see that I put into everything I do today.
Yeah, that's such a great reframe around what you saw as a bigger loss. I
Two
think that's so
ENFPs,
powerful
huh?
for you to sit here and say,
Two ENFPs talking.
actually, I'm really happy that I can see that I wasn't putting my best foot forward, because that helps me be grateful to my mom. It helps me understand it from a different perspective. And the one thing that came to mind for me when I'm listening to you say that is, there's this quote that says, the day you realize...
Look at Jay Shetty quoting people, TEFI, TE.
Parents were right.
You're ENFP too.
Your kids are telling you that you're wrong.
Wow.
And that's always been one of those statements that I think about that in my own self. I thought my parents were wrong my entire teenage life, and I think most teenagers do. And then all of a sudden I hit my mid-20s and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. My mom's been through a lot. My parents put in a lot of sacrifice. And so I love that you brought that up.
Jay Shetty talking about the progression.
I mean, one of the reasons we pushed this show back was you lost your father recently.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when I heard the news, obviously, my love and condolences to your family. And I was looking at what you were sharing and commenting about. And there was this one thing that you said that really stuck with me. And you said that my kids actually think I'm the coolest dad on the planet. I know why I am the way I am. My dad has a lot to do with that. The mistakes that my dad made, the decisions to do drugs, being in and out of jail, in and out of your lives, I saw firsthand what not being present did because of that. I now know what being present means. Mm-hmm. I know what I can do. I know what effect it can have on your child coming up. But it sounded like, obviously, when you lost your father recently, it sounds like you're
talking about the effective thing, that's NE again.
You'd reconcile, like you'd built somewhat of a connection.
Me and my dad, we weren't the closest, but we weren't not close. My dad.
What the fuck does that mean? You informative motherfucker.
At the end of the day, I'm going to love my dad for simply being my dad. Now, my dad's life...
I'm going to love my dad, F.I.
I had several different versions of drastic downs, right? A small amount of ups, but a lot of downs. I can easily sit here and ridicule or judge my dad for the mistakes that he made or for his past, but that does nothing. I don't like to focus on problem. I focus on solution.
Yes.
So with me and my dad and our relationship, it was always one of solution. Like, you can't go back and fix the years that you weren't present. There is nothing that we can do about that time. We can have a conversation about it. We can talk about it. And then me and my dad talking, my biggest thing was you don't have to focus on what you can't change. The fact that you're here now and that you made a decision to get clean, to turn your life around, it's never too late. My dad was, 50 plus at the time when he said, I'm gonna go ahead and figure it out, and I'm gonna close that door, and I'm gonna work on this other door. This door over here
She's
was
getting
like
abstracted. I'm done here, man. She's getting abstracted again. Kevin Hart is an ENFP. ENFPs are so what we noticed very early on is a TFI user, and he's progression and he's informative. Okay, informative means he extra words. It's not specific, concise, and to the point. It's wordy. It's giving you extra information and whatnot, and that's what he's doing. So he's informative. He's a TFI user, so he cares about achievements, accomplishments, what he loves, and that type of thing. He's a TFI user, and he's initiating, which means he's extroverted. And what extroverts would do is they would interrupt other people, or they'll change the topic at times. And you'll notice that through the extroverts that we have typed, they do that. Even though it is an interview, extroverts will do that to you. He's abstract, so he talks about the what if. He's talking about ideas, intangible things outside of the five senses. He's doing that so much. He's progression, so he cares about the journey over the end product, which is the outcome. He's an SINE user. He talks from a first person perspective, and he talks about any consequences, any effects. So yeah, we're done here. And ENFPs are interest focused, so they talk about the global interest as well. The interest focus, so they talk about what people are getting out of a situation. And they're affiliative, so they care about doing what's right, and that's what Kevin Hart's doing here. So we're done here. Kevin Hart's an ENFP, and we will respond. So personality database got him as an ESFP. That's pretty close. I mean, they got that he's a TFI user, but ESFPs are concrete and they're pragmatic. So they care about doing what's effective, not so much about doing what's right. And they're SE users, and Kevin Hart's an SI user. So he's an ENFP and not an ESFP. And hope that helps for you, A1N8F. He's not an ESTP or ESFP. He's an ENFP. But that's Mongolian Mindset, and we're out. We have one of our January goal talks, and we do that once a month. Hopefully we get a lot of people on the call. We'll be posting those in the group. So if you want to get in there with us, we're taking ourselves to the next level. Our mission is for everybody to be the best version of ourselves, and it doesn't matter where you are on this planet. We are spreading our venom throughout the world, and maybe one day we'll all rise up and get together and do something great and change the world. So that sounds like you. Go ahead and join our group, Mongolian Mindset, and I'm out. See y'all on the next episode.